Okay, so number 6, we want to take each of these following numerals and change them to base 10. So I want to know what is 423 base 5 in base 10. So think back to expanded form. So remember, let's just make a small example. Let me just do this number that they have, 423. This is base 10. Let's just call this base 10 right now. Let me use a different number because I don't want to confuse you. Let's just say 541. Okay, so here's how you got to think about this. If I wrote this number in expanded form, 541, I would write 5 times 100, because that's the hundreds place, plus 4 times 10, and then plus 1 times the ones place. So I'm multiplying it times each of the digits. Now, since we're in base 10, that means these can be written as powers of 10. So another way of thinking about this in expanded form is saying 5 times 10 squared. Okay, and then plus 4 times 10 to the first power. And then it's always going to be a 1, but plus 1, you can write this as times 10 to the 0 power. Anytime you write something to the 0 power, you get 1. So that's the same thing as writing 1. This is the way we're going to think about writing these numbers or changing them to base 10. So what I recommend is you take the number you're given and write 0, 1, 2, and just kind of count up. This is going to give you the power that you need to put on the base. This is the number that you're going to multiply by. So that's 5 here is base 10, and that was in the 10 squared, the hundreds position. The 4 had a 1 exponent, still about power of 10, and then the number 1 had a 0. So we're going to do the same thing with each of these. So for A, we have 423 base 5. 423 base 5. Okay, so I'm going to say 0, 1, 2. All right, so I'm going to write this in expanded form. It's going to be 4 times, since it's base 5, 5 squared. That's what we're going to do. It's going to give us the first part. And then the second part, we're going to add 2 times 5 to the first, or just 5. And then on the last one, it's going to be plus 3 times 5 to the 0, or just 3 times 1. Okay, this just kind of helps you follow the same pattern. So here we're doing 4 times 25. 5 squared is 25. And then we're doing 2 times 5 is 10. And then we're doing 3 times 1. This is what we're getting. This is what we're going to do and add up. All right, so we get 100, 10, 13. $100 plus 10 plus 3 gives us 113. So this number 423 in base 5 is actually 113 in base 10, our counting system. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the next 2. So this is base 2. We want to convert it to base 10. And we'll use calculator. I'll just punch it out in the calculator so you can see from here. So we have 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay, so we're going to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so writing this out in expanded form. 1, and this is base 2. Okay, so the first number 1 times 2 to the 4th, because base 2 to that power, plus 1 times 2 to the third plus 1 times 2 to the second. Alright, and then we'll have plus 0 times 2 to the first. So this is just going to give us 0. So the last two terms are going to give us 0. But if you want to write them out, plus 0 times 2 to the 0. So this just 0 and 0. So 2 to the fourth, 2 to the third, and 2 squared. That's what we're going to be adding up. So if you wanted to enter those into your calculator, so since it's times 1 out front, I'm just kind of ignoring it. Times 1 is not changing it. So I'm going to do 2 raised to the fourth, and then plus 2 raised to the third, and then plus 2 raised to the second. So when I do this with the calculator, 2 to the fourth, that's 16 plus 8 plus 4. That should give us 28. That's what I'm expecting to see in the calculator, 28. Okay, we get 28. So this number, base 2, looks like 11,100 is actually 28 in our base 10 counting system. Let's have some more space. Okay, so we have C. This is base 12. Same thing though. We're going to do this 1, 3, T. Now they tell us to note this T stands for 10. There's 10 single ones here in this spot, which doesn't count over until we get to 12 since we're dealing in base 12. Okay, so expanding this out, it will be 0, 1, 2. Okay, so I would have 1 times 12 to the second power plus this will be 3 times 12 to the first power, and then this will be plus 10 times 12 to the 0 power, which is just 10 times 1. So you can, if you want to, just put a 1 here. It does the same thing. So this will give us 144. This will give us 12 times 3 is 36. And then 10 times 1 will give us 10. So when you add this all up, 180, 190. Okay, and let's check the technology. So I'm going to type it all in just like I have it right here. So parentheses 1 times 12 squared, and then close, and then plus open. We'll do 3 times 12 to the first power, and then we'll do plus open, and then 10 times 1. Okay. So that 12 to the 0 is just 1, and we get 190. Okay, so 190.